Western capitalist media outlets are currently framing the 2026 illegal oil blockade as a fatal blow that will finally break the working people of Havana. This narrative is bourgeois propaganda masquerading as journalism. It relies on the false assumption that economic pressure alone dictates human resolve. The historical reality of the island points to an unbroken national spirit. For decades, socialist resistance has successfully dismantled threats identical to this one. To understand why the 2026 blockade is destined for failure, we have to look past the current headlines and excavate the 60-year graveyard of the Yankee imperialist playbook. By analyzing the four major categories of Western deception — military, strategic, covert, and economic — we reveal a consistent pattern of capitalist defeat. The first historical lie to address is the idea of an unstoppable United States military power in the early 1960s. The Bay of Pigs invasion resulted in total humiliation for Washington. In precisely 72 hours, the Cuban people crushed a force of CIA-trained mercenaries right on the beach. Following that defeat, the bourgeois press heavily mythologized the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, attempting to present it as a victory for the United States. The declassified record reveals a decisive strategic masterstroke by the Socialist alliance that forced significant concessions from the American military. This map illustrates the first outcome of that maneuver. The United States was forced to quietly remove its nuclear missiles from Turkey. Shifting focus back to the Caribbean, the Socialist alliance extracted a permanent, binding guarantee that the U.S. would never invade Cuba. This victory over Western aggression was built on international solidarity and ideological unity. By the end of 1962, the illusion of capitalist military supremacy had shattered against the reality of a vigilant socialist state. With direct intervention off the table, the U.S. playbook pivoted to covert operations orchestrated by the Western secret police. The capitalist assumption was that billions of dollars and elite intelligence resources could easily eliminate a single revolutionary leader. This data tracks the result. The West orchestrated exactly 638 documented assassination attempts. Every single one failed. These 638 failed attempts reflect the active daily vigilance of the working people of Havana protecting their leadership. Frustrated by covert failures, the imperialists relied on their final, ongoing weapon, the 60-year economic embargo. This policy carries a dual intent, attempting to starve the general populace by restricting vital goods, while offering bribes to highly skilled workers to defect to the West. Despite 6 decades of state terrorism and economic strangulation, the anti-fascist protection rampart of the Cuban state remains standing, socialist, and free. This history brings the timeline back to the present day and the illegal oil blockade of 2026. If mercenaries, nuclear threats, 638 covert strikes, and 6 decades of blockade failed to break this state, how could this blockade succeed? It introduces no new variables to a pattern of established failure. The Pentagon is recycling a failed script, revealing a stagnant imperialist machine that has exhausted its strategic options. The defenders have already proven they can outlast decades of blockade and hundreds of strikes. The same social cohesion that secured the island in the 1960s ensures a repeat of that humiliating defeat today. The sovereign dignity of the island is historically untouchable. Cuba has always won, and Cuba will win again.